This is the worst episode of the entire season 5 of The Boys. I know this is a crazy thing to say considering there were filler episodes in this season. They pulled a Stranger Things finale, and that is what I didn't like at all about this final episode. The episode was about an hour and 6 minutes, and the resolution to years of a TV show was in less than 40 minutes. The rest was just a montage of where our characters ended up at the end of the season. I know it's a TV show and I'm supposed to have an end to all the characters' arcs, but even the third act with killing Homelander was so short. So short. And that's how come I'm comparing it or making a parallel to the Stranger Things finale. So the final battle with Homelander was extremely short. And my God, I was just noticing flaws with that final battle. I learned something from a lot of film creators or creators I see on YouTube. When choreography is bad, you see a lot of shaking of the camera and a lot of cuts in the scene you're looking at or the scene you're watching. And this battle with Homelander, oh my God, oh my goodness. So many cuts, so many times the camera was just shaking about. I'm like, bro, just stick to the scene that is happening and show us a good fight sequence. That is all we need. Homelander has been a threat for 5 good seasons. Just show us a battle that's like has an impact. Show us something that will give the audience what they've been searching for since the beginning of The Boys. And come on, it didn't live up to what we expected. I do not understand how people are enjoying it, but for me, that fight sequence wasn't it. It was not it. There were no interesting sequence. There was no cool fight move. I mean, the most interesting thing that happened in terms of their powers was in episode 1 when Homelander was chasing after A-Train. Like, you could see that they put in efforts, and that was something we had never seen ever. Homelander actually flying and having some impact in what he was doing, chasing after A-Train. Now, that sequence was one that actually made me hyped for the entire season. And unfortunately for us, the final act or the final battle of the entire show did not live up to that hype. I don't want to be a hater. I love The Boys. I was hyped for every episode as it was coming out. I even discussed it with my friends. Like, I've recommended the show for a lot of people. I even watched the 2 seasons of Gen V. Come on, that should tell you something. Like, I'm not a hater of The Boys. I've loved The Boys since season 1. But I so did not like this finale. I did not like it at all. You know one major thing? The episode felt like it had certain things they had to achieve. It had certain plot points that I had to hit. And that's fine. That's fine. But I don't think the audience should be able to identify or notice every single resolution as it occurs. Like, it didn't flow smoothly or beautifully with how the episode was going or how the story was going. It was more like, let's take this arc, we're about to bring it to a resolution. We resolve it, and let's move on to the next character. Take the conflict between Starlight and the Deep, for example. This conflict has been running from the beginning of season 1 up to season 5. And immediately she met the Deep, he got killed. They wrapped up that storyline. Now, to the next character, they try to resolve his or her story. Speaking of the Deep, I do not like how his story came to an end. In my opinion, he shouldn't have died. He should have lived. I know people would have been upset that a douchebag like the Deep survived the entire show. But I think, just as Homelander said,
the only reason that I haven't killed you is that I want you to feel deep in your heart how truly worthless you really are.
He should have gone on to live and suffer, knowing and acknowledging that he's a useless piece of crap, and even Homelander, who he was trying to tickle his balls and play with his did not appreciate him, and it was all for nothing. Nothing. I think that would have been a better ending to his entire arc, knowing that he is suffering and bearing the consequences of everything he had been doing from the beginning of the show. But the ending they gave him wasn't bad. I mean, it works. Like, it works. And that is my issue with this episode. That is my issue with the finale. All the character endings just work and nothing else. I know I sound very pessimistic hating on character endings, working at the end of a season or at the end of a show. But to me, that's the issue. Nothing was unique. I mean, it works, but it leaves no great impression on the audience. It just worked and that was it. Like, it was linear. Not that being linear is bad, but give some subversion to it. Like, it was what people expected. It played it safe. I was surprised that people actually really liked it. People in the movie space that I really like, in my opinion, usually aligned with them, really liked this finale. Looking at you, 3C. But as I said, it worked and nothing more. It met expectations, and that was it. Now, the finale wasn't all bad and no good. The fact that Butcher was the one to kill Homelander was a beautiful end to that story. The entire show of The Boys sort of started because of the conflict between Homelander and Butcher. So I think he being the one to kill him at the end of it gives it a full circle moment, which I really liked. Now, one other positive I can say about the episode was when Homelander lost his powers, the way they depicted him being useless and being a crybaby was wonderful. Like, he was literally crying, moping, and said,
"Oh, I can't, please. I'll do anything. You want me to eat? I'll eat you."
It just showed how much of a Homelander actually is, and it was just his powers that made him seem like someone to acknowledge. But even with that scene, I still had some negatives about it. It felt exaggerated. You could say Homelander is actually a crybaby to that extent. You could say that is who he truly is. Like, he is nothing without the powers. But I still feel it was sort of over the top. And also how Butcher's life came to an end. Right from, I think, season 4, you could see that Butcher was ready to give up everything. He wasn't even trying to stay alive. He just wanted to kill Homelander. Even throughout this season, we see him become more willing to lose himself, to die, just so he can end Homelander's life. And in doing so, pushing the people he loved away. He even killed his dad, even though he was a piece of shit. I agree. So now with Homelander gone, he has to deal with the repercussions of his behavior, his cruel character, pushing and losing everyone that ever cared about him away on this journey. He had lost Becca, he had now lost Ryan, and Tara sadly died at the end of this episode. So I was thinking he was going to live a sad, lonely life for the rest of it, and it wouldn't make sense because throughout he was ever willing to die just so that the Supes or Homelander could not live to see the light of day. So I think the way they killed off his character at the end with Huey having to be the one to do it was a nice end to his story arc. I mean, that is literally what he wanted from the beginning. They even gave him a nice funeral at the end of it all. And I think that was really a nice thing to do for him, in as much as he was really big, large piece of shit. At the end of the day, most shows do not stick the landing when it comes to the finale. And The Boys was just one of those. But for how much I loved The Boys, it was so disappointing it had to end this badly. Anyways, that's what I thought. I really did not like this finale to The Boys, but I'm seeing a lot of people did. So let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see you for another video. Love you all.